for joining me today. I'm excited to share with you what I have learned over the years as a social media marketing professional. I've been working in digital marketing for more than 5 years, originally getting my start in food and beverage marketing, and then have really grown my catalog of knowledge and skills. I do realize that some of you here today may know a lot about how to market yourself and your business on social media. Some of you may have dabbled, and some of you may know little to nothing, and that's totally okay. We're going to talk mostly big picture today, dive a little bit into details, and then hopefully come out of this inspired to make some changes. So we are also more than happy to consult with you individually if you have follow-ups, and don't worry about taking notes or trying to absorb as much information as possible. We are going to be providing this presentation to you. But we do have a lot to cover, and I'm sure there will be some questions, so let's get started. So first I want to talk about why. Why should you invest your time and money into social media? The most obvious and current reason would be how much marketing has changed, especially during the current pandemic situation that we're in. How we connect with our customers is changing drastically, and while there are many industries who still rely heavily on traditional marketing, they are now trying to figure out how to survive when the entire world is on lockdown. So businesses are having to get creative and figure out how to make sales digitally if possible, but most importantly, how to maintain a connection with their audiences. Another great reason is social media is where people are spending their time. 45% of the population is on social media more than 3 hours a day. And this was a stat that I actually collected before the shelter in place. So I imagine with all the sitting around that we're all doing, this number is probably a lot higher at the moment. So it's super important to put your content where the people are, and right now they're online. Reason 3 would be because it's an expected norm in this day and age. So your competitors are most likely utilizing social media to connect with potentially your customers. And you want to be represented and available to them. Another great reason is affordability. Social media marketing is free. We are going to talk about paid as well, but social media marketing can be done with zero budget. Its accessibility makes it that much more appealing as well. It's accessible to everyone and anyone that wants to use it to promote themselves or their brand. You also don't have to have a budget for a billboard or the eye of a graphic designer or the writing skills of a professional copywriter to manage your own online campaign. And then lastly, marketing on social media means that you can specifically target your customers and potential customers. It's much easier to discover who your audience is and only show your content to them if you want to. These aren't the only reasons why social media marketing is valuable, but they are some of the big ones. So we talked about the why a little bit, and now I want to talk a little bit about how. Your number one priority when utilizing social media is storytelling. So while social media has kind of morphed into a lot of things over the years, its original purpose was to socialize, and people still really like to use it for that reason. So figure out what it is about your company that makes you special, and then use images and videos to tell that story. Maybe it is a family business that has been passed down from generations and you are the one keeping it going. Maybe it's because you only hire veteran employees. Whatever it is about you that makes you special, make sure that this is a key part of your overall messaging. Secondly, it is important to learn who your audience is, what social media platforms they're on, what kind of content they're engaging with, so that you know how to get their attention. Most social media channels will have analytics that will tell you about the demographics of your followers, and we'll talk about that. Once you have learned more about who your audience is, then you can decide kind of what social media channels and tactics are right for your business. And we'll talk about how to create content for each channel in a little bit. And then lastly, you want to analyze your data. A major part of doing social media marketing correctly and successfully means measuring your efforts and then making adjustments. So maybe in analyzing, you discover that you're spending a little too much time trying to gain followers on a platform that just isn't the right fit for your industry. And then you can kind of adjust there. Or you might discover that the majority of people following a particular hashtag that you're using are mostly women when you thought they might be men. So how would you adjust your content with that piece of knowledge? And we'll cover data as well. So next I want to talk about the what. What are your objectives and what are you trying to achieve? Before you make a huge commitment to social media marketing, you need to answer some of these questions. What are you trying to gain from social media? Is it brand awareness, traffic to your website? Are you trying to generate leads or get potential customers to sign up for your newsletter? Then you want to figure out what your budget is, both cost and time. Will you be managing this yourself, or will an employee be taking this over for you? There's a lot of questions there. There's always the option of hiring a professional to manage it for you. What can you afford to spend on online ads, and how much time do you have to manage this? Once you've figured out who your audience is on social media, you're going to learn more about what they do online, what their interests and behaviors are, and make it easier to target them and serve ads to the people that are actually really interested in your content. And this is going to take time to develop, but having just an initial idea of who they might be and what they're doing online will definitely help you get started. Some more what questions to answer. What channels are your customers active on, and how are they using that platform? What are you going to post about? What assets do you have already, if any, and have you been collecting photos and videos of your work? Do you have emails from happy customers? And if not, how will you go about starting to collect some of these assets? Do you have resources that are available to you to create this content? Like, is there someone on your team or your crew who can assist in being kind of the official media capture? Maybe you have somebody on your staff that's already really good at taking pictures and video. And if not, that's totally okay too. You do not have to be a professional photographer. So I now kind of want to move on to the where. This is where we're talking about where to put your resources, your funds, your time, and your energy. We are going to be doing a separate webinar on SEO and SEM, so I won't go over it too much as it's not really social media, but it is important to know kind of what your options are. So on that first line, social media advertising refers specifically to the platforms where you can run ads, which nowadays almost every platform has an ad option. A big part of your planning will be to decide what platforms you should spend your money on. And this should coincide with the platforms you choose to post on and be the most active on. And we'll dive a little deeper into that as well. As far as paid search engine marketing goes, this is a great resource for improving your search results and generating leads geographically. And then the SEO line will refer to work that you can do to improve your search results organically, which we'll also cover in that other webinar. Email marketing, such as newsletters and brand announcements, is a great way to gain loyalty and build your subscriber list. This falls under the category of content strategy, developing relevant content to grow your audience. We'll also cover how to take one blog post or an organic social media post and turn it into multiple pieces of content. So I've mentioned a few times now how important it is to choose the right platforms for your company, and not every social media platform is right for every industry. So you want to make sure that you're picking the right one. And for example, Twitter is a great platform for businesses that want like instant access to their audience in real time, like politicians or celebrities. But I don't imagine that Twitter is probably going to be a great platform for solar. Facebook, for example, is the largest social media platform and will most likely be one that you are going to use. If you are able to capture a lot of video in your day-to-day, then YouTube might be a great resource for you to share your content and run ads that target audiences who are searching for that type of information. And don't worry, you'll get a copy of this so you can go over kind of all these details and figure out which ones are right for you. So continuing a little bit with the what, this chart will help you figure out what your objectives are and how they are accomplished and how to measure them. So for example, if your objective is brand awareness, then you're going to strive to achieve this through growth of your online audience. And this growth is measured by how many followers you're gaining and how many likes and shares you get. Brand advocacy would be kind of the next step up from brand awareness, and this is achieved by engagement on your content, and it's measured by comments, likes, and tags. Leads and sales is achieved through conversions, and you'll measure that through how many visits you get to your website, how many people complete a form, direct messages that you receive, or like newsletter signups. And then finally, what might be one of the most valuable objectives for your industry is customer loyalty, the voice of the consumer. So receiving testimonials and reviews will make for great social media posts down the road, and it's very encouraging for potential new customers to read that kind of content on your page. So once your decisions have been made about what channels you want to use, who your audience is, and what kind of content you're going to share, it's time to actually get started and launch social media. So my advice is to start small. Start with consistently posting organically, non-paid, and learn what you can about the audience that you gain and how they like to engage. Once you feel like you have an understanding on those things, then you can start boosting your best posts and measuring that performance. In doing that, you'll actually start to learn more about the ads platform and get to be a little bit more comfortable and start running more complicated campaigns like sending people to a landing page to generate leads. As you gain experience in running these ads, the platform starts to learn about your audience and the audiences that you're targeting, and you can start targeting lookalike audiences. And these are social media users whose interests and behaviors are much like the followers that you're already engaging with. So you can also retarget potential customers who may have visited your site recently looking for resources, but maybe they didn't follow up with contacting you. So it's important to hit these warm leads multiple times with your online content. So while I mentioned in the beginning that social media marketing is free, that is true, but it is a bit misleading, and this is why. Social media advertising is such a popular and effective form of marketing that it's actually become a pay-to-play game. So if you aren't paying for your content to be seen, it's only going to be seen by a small group of your followers and not even all of your followers. So due to Facebook and Instagram's ever-changing algorithms that they use, they kind of decide what content their users see based on popularity, behavior, and interests. So in order to grow your audience and increase your brand awareness, you're going to have to pay. I wanted to show you an example. This is an example of a campaign that I ran for a client recently. This post was boosted for $500 and it ran for 5 days. So as you can see on the left, the post was shared by 194 people, exposing this piece of content to all of their followers. It also led 134 new people to their website. And then the chart on the right refers to reach, and reach is how many users on the platform were served this ad. So this doesn't mean that they engaged with it or even noticed it. It just means that Facebook showed it in their feed at least one time. So organically, if I hadn't boosted this post, this content would have reached only 5,000 people, but because we did boost it, it was shown to over 76,000 people. So to conclude, organic and free social media is an option. It's just a much slower growth process. So I want to talk in a little bit more detail about organic versus paid ads. I'm going to focus mostly today on ads for Facebook and Instagram because they are the most popular, most affordable, and the most effective. Organic posts refer to all content created for digital marketing. These pieces of content can be used and repurposed as blogs, newsletters, tweets, Instagram posts, etc., and we'll talk about that. A boosted post is kind of what I like to refer to as a baby step. It's a great place to get your feet wet in social media ads with little to no experience or direction. Facebook makes it really easy to create a boosted post without using their ads manager platform. So this is just something that you can do from your regular Facebook page. And a good example of when to use a boost is if you have like a company announcement or a special where the objective is to get people to engage or click through the ad and then hopefully contact you directly. That would be something that would be great to boost. And then moving on to paid ads, these are a more advanced option. Paid ads are managed in Facebook Ads Manager platform. And because Facebook owns Instagram, you run all of these ads through the same platform. They're the most popular and the most affordable. They are managed in the Ads Manager platform so that you can choose numerous options of objectives. This will be a way that you can kind of customize a little bit more. With the boosts, you're a little bit limited on what your ads look like and what you're able to do. And in the paid options, you have a lot more customization. So I want to move on a little bit to content quality. Content quality is something that I could easily spend an entirely separate webinar talking about, so I'll try to keep it brief. But my first rule of thumb is quality over quantity. Do not post just to post. If you're only able to produce 2 to 3 great pieces of content in a week, that's totally fine, and that is preferred. It's better to do that and go that route than to post poorly crafted, kind of ugly content just to have something to post every day. My second rule is about lighting and angles. When you're creating visual media for posting, you don't have to be a professional photographer or videographer. Just follow simple tips like paying attention to lighting and try to shoot in the golden hour if possible. So this time is about 20 minutes after the sun sets. I know that doesn't always align with everyone's schedule, but if it doesn't, then try to shoot always in complete sun or complete shade. Angles are really important too. If your subject isn't particularly exciting, like solar panels, choose an angle that creates a little bit of depth. So I chose these 2 images just to kind of give you an example. The bottom image is obviously a superior photo, mostly because of the angle at which the photo was taken. The top photo is blurry and it's shot straight on, and there's just not much interest to it. We talked earlier in the beginning about telling stories. So I want to encourage you to make your posts personal while maintaining your professionalism. So make it fun. And one of the most important rules is to make it educational and provide value. The user needs a reason to follow you and continue to engage with your content. So try to be helpful. Audiences are much more likely to support a brand that is community focused, helpful, and eager to engage with them. A lot of clients come to us with the social media struggle of figuring out what do they want to post about. They know they want to do social media, but they have no idea what to actually say or what to post about. So I want to go over a few of these content ideas with you. Before and after posts are always really popular. Maybe you can kind of show us how subtle and sleek a panel install can look before and after. You can inform your audience about the world of green energy, new tech that's easy for the average person to understand, or an industry game changer that was just announced. You can also capture video via like a GoPro or a time lapse on your phone of how an install is put into place from start to finish. Happy customers are always great to share. It helps potential customers envision themselves reaping the same benefits that you're promoting. And try to ask those happy customers to write testimonials or reviews of what it was like working with you so that you can share those across your channels as well. You can talk about what's happening in the development of solar locally and worldwide. What are other ways that customers can save energy in their homes before and after their panels are installed? And these kind of posts are very effective because customers in all industries, no matter whether it's solar or not, are used to this as the new norm. They have more personal connection and direct access to their service providers than ever before. So if a customer is doing research in your area about who to hire and they see this type of content from your competitor and next to nothing about you online, it's likely that they're going to go with the person that they can connect the most with. Another quick thing about content that I wanted to go over is the 80-20 rule. So this isn't so much as a rule as it is just kind of something to keep in mind when you're planning content. Nobody wants to follow social media accounts that are just promoting themselves all the time. So what I try to tell my clients is 80% of your social media should inform, educate, and entertain, and only 20% should be direct promotions. So moving on to a little bit more about content quality, I wanted to share a few quick examples of good content versus bad content. So these ones I like. I selected these posts for a few different reasons. The post on the left is inspiring. That's why I chose it. It's got a great message. The images are colorful and bright. The post in the middle is an example of capturing happy customers. And it's also taken from a really cool, fun, and interesting angle. And then the photo on the right is not necessarily solar related, but I wanted to show an example of how to capture staff in a way that is not boring. You want to make sure that you are showcasing your team in a way that makes people feel like they want to be around you and then hopefully hire you. This is my slide about bad posts. I could go frame by frame and kind of explain why each of these are bad, but I think you get the gist. I'll just focus on the middle one because it seems to be a really popular thing to post within the solar industry, and it doesn't work. As you can see, it was barely engaged with. And here's why. The color is dull, the image is blurry, the air in the background is really muggy, you can't see the installer's face. Unfortunately, so much of the action in your industry is on roofs, and they all look just like this. So how can we make this more exciting? How could this post have been improved? They could have captured the installer's face smiling and posted a quick staff member highlight. They could have used a higher quality image setting on their camera or phone. They could have taken a video of the installer maybe pulling the panel up onto the roof from the ground. So there are a few different options of how these posts could have been improved. But in general, I want you to start practicing getting into your mind every time you're at work, is there an opportunity to capture a piece of content? Hashtags. Hopefully you haven't been scared off by the overwhelming amount of information that is out there about the proper use of hashtags. They are really quite simple, and they're simple to use, and they're vital to your social media growth. So if you use them correctly, you will see social media following grow and you'll see more engagement. So just to go over the basics, hashtags always start with your £, but they will not work as an active link if you use any spaces, punctuation, or symbols. You also want to make sure that your account is public. If you have questions about whether or not your accounts are set to public, I'd be happy to help you at that via email. Simple and relevant hashtags are the best. If they are too specific, then no one is going to be searching for them and they won't give you any benefit. So for example, a good hashtag would be hashtag green energy, and a bad hashtag would be hashtag green energy efficiency for all. It's unlikely that anybody is going to be typing something like that, even if it's something that your brand says a lot. And then you also want to make sure that you're choosing hashtags that have enough tags on them, but not too many. So my rule of thumb is over 1,000 and under 1 million. So where to put these hashtags? Hashtags are not used in the same way on every social media platform. So for example, on Twitter has limited character count. So you want to use your space wisely and pick 1 to 3 of the most relevant hashtags for that post. And then Instagram is where hashtags really shine. You have 30 spots available. So especially when you're starting out in the beginning doing social media from scratch, I would recommend using all 30 of those spaces. You can hide your comments, you can hide your hashtags in the comments so that they don't look so, your post doesn't look so spammy. And then with Facebook and LinkedIn, it's just not really a platform for hashtags. People don't utilize hashtags in the same way on Facebook and LinkedIn. So unless it is like a social media holiday, I don't recommend putting a whole lot of your time and effort into making sure that hashtags are used properly on Facebook and LinkedIn. So which hashtags to use? How do you do research? How do you get started? Start by checking the hashtags that your competitors are using. And making sure that you're sticking between that 1,000 and 1 million tag number. I would also check out some of the hashtags that are being used by influential people in your industry and see how successful they have been doing it. And then you can also utilize the Instagram search function. So if you've ever searched for a hashtag in the Instagram platform, you'll type in a keyword and it'll actually bring up relevant hashtags, and you can explore kind of what's going on within those to make sure that they're relevant for your industry. And then once you've done all that research and collected your list, what do you do with them? I recommend that you create a running doc and store it somewhere that's easily accessible on your mobile phone and your desktop. So this middle screen here is actually a screenshot example of just general solar hashtags that are within that sweet spot. So when you're posting on Instagram, you want to save room for at least 7 to 10 post specific tags, and then the rest are going to be kind of this general. So for example, if your post is about an install that you did at a farm, you're going to want to post like 20 general solar related hashtags, and then about 10 specific ones like about location or farming or green farming, etc. And then you actually have to measure the success of this. So you're going to want to watch to see if your efforts are working. So the right is a screenshot from Insights on Instagram, where you can actually see that 179 of the people that saw this piece of content saw it because they were following or searching a hashtag that I used on this post. I also want to talk about location tagging, which can be done on almost every social media platform. Location tagging has become increasingly important over the years with social media marketing. Posts with tagged locations actually see higher engagement, and changing your location from time to time can help expose your content to new people. So I put up an example here by Soligent. They were at an event in Utah and they tagged Salt Lake City, and that was very good. It's a popular location, lots of people, but it's just specific enough as well. Whereas the post example that I have on the right tagged all of India. That's a little too broad. So if the locations of your installs span many cities and counties, you should be tagging them as often as you possibly can. Now that you've put all of this effort and done all this research and planning and started to post, you want to make sure that people actually know that you're doing it. So I want you to be sure that your social media icons are in all of these places. And if you have any questions about how to make this happen, please email me, email Jamie, let me know. I'm happy to help make this happen for you. And a part of doing that successfully is making sure that you have consistent handles. This isn't always possible for everyone because many usernames are taken, but if you can, use the same username across all of your social media platforms. This will make it so much easier for people to find you and for you to promote your platforms on your website and other marketing materials. So for example, Bright Productions was not available when we launched our social media a few years ago, so we had to improvise. Since our branding states Bright Productions web search social, we went with what was simple and available. So if you search at Bright Pro WSS on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, you will find us. So this will make it a lot easier for your customers to figure out which social media channel is yours if they're finding you through something that's on print. If you just add to your print at Solar, whatever your username is, it'll be a lot easier for people to locate you. So I want to go back to posting a little bit on the different platforms. Starting out creating posts can be overwhelming and daunting already, and then it can make things feel impossible when somebody tells you don't post the same content across all of your channels. That is true, but it's not entirely true. So I just want you to think about posting differently, and here's what I mean. Say that you just finished a huge install job on a commercial building and you captured a great image of your team standing in front of their work. On Facebook, you can use that picture to promote the fact that your company now has enough installers to do a large-scale job, and even add a call to action for people to visit your website and learn more about, say, commercial installation financing. On Instagram, you can actually take that same great photo, but keep it super short and sweet and say how proud you are of your team for the work that they did at X, Y, and Z, and tag your location and use your hashtags. Then on LinkedIn, again, using that same photo, but caption it as if you're talking to others in your line of work and start a conversation. Like, we just completed a huge commercial install, the biggest one we've ever done. It was a huge milestone for our company. Are there any other installers that have recent success stories that they'd like to share? So this is what I mean by posting differently. You're taking that same piece of content, so you're not creating 3 different pieces, but you're changing little things about it so that they fit each one in the way that the user is used to. I also wanted to talk a little bit about some online tools to consider. I cannot do my job without these tools. And while I realize I probably will be doing a lot more complicated stuff than you guys are going to do, these are the basics, the ones that I think will make your life a lot easier if you decide to launch a full-scale social media strategy. So Buffer and Hootsuite are both scheduling programs. This is they both have free versions, and it's a platform where you can plug in all of your content, schedule it to go out at the most optimal times, and just set it and forget it. Canva is a graphics creator program. This I use every single day. There is a free version, but the pro version is a lot better. Canva is a place where you can make Instagram posts, Facebook posts, blog headers, business cards, resumes, company announcements, and everything is all pre-programmed with tons of options for templates, so you do not have to have like a graphic designer eye for color or photos to be able to create beautiful content for your pages. This big blue square on the right is called Repost, and this is an app on my mobile phone that I use when a social media user tags my client in a piece of content. So say a happy customer posts a photo of them standing in front of their house with their new install and they tag you and you want to repurpose that for your own social media content calendar, I would use Repost. Google Sheets is something I use every single day. This is how I categorize and organize my content calendars. This will be a great tool if you have multiple people on your team that are all contributing content. It's a live cloud-based spreadsheet, so everybody can go in and leave comments and make improvements, move the dates around if they want to. And then you would take the content from Google Sheets and copy and paste it into either Buffer or Hootsuite to get it scheduled. And then lastly, I use Lightroom for all of my photo editing. This is an Adobe suite, but there are a ton of different programs out there, most of them that are free, that can do a lot of the same stuff. And then finally, I just want to talk about analyzing data. As far as analyzing your data goes, you might see or hear words like insights, analytics, metrics. It's all referring to the same thing. It's all data. Facebook calls this insights. And this is a section of the platform where you'll measure the success of your page. You can monitor the growth of your fans, compare posts to see which ones receive the most comments, and so on. We could probably do an entire webinar on data and reporting. So if you have specific questions about what your current insight reporting is looking like, I can help you with that and get back to you separately. Analyzing your data is so important because it is one of the only ways that you can monitor your progress and make improvements. It's also important to document and report on your progress monthly if you're working as a team on managing a budget. So you can choose the key performance indicators that are important to your brand and then have a running spreadsheet going. How you're doing it and measuring it is not important. Just make sure you are doing it in a way that works for you and make sure that you're doing it every month. So I know we talked about a lot today, and I appreciate you joining me. I really enjoyed the opportunity to teach what I know, and I'm more than happy to assist anyone further in the quest for their social media marketing success. Thank you.